edition of the Dash podcast. Still live, still kicking. This is episode 141. It's hard to believe we definitely made it this far. And here I am with my brilliant, happy co-host, Mr. Spencer or Kodaks, however you prefer to be referred. How's it going, man?
Either or works for me. I'm doing well. Excellent today. How are you?
I'm pretty good. This is strange times we're living in.
Yeah, I'm out of work for the next few weeks. I was texted the other day by my boss that said, don't show up to work for the next 3 weeks. We have an outbreak of the coronavirus where I live right now. And so even small towns are not immune, I suppose.
Yeah, that's rough. How small is the town you're at?
About 17,000 people live here.
Nice. I got you beat by like 5,000.
You guys have 12?
No, I got
Oh, you got more.
A little over 20. It's funny
Okay.
because over
Nice.
here it counts as like the top 4 largest cities in New Hampshire. It's like the big city over here. Actually, no, it's closer to like 30. But
Yeah,
we're
the same way. We're one of the top. We're one of the largest cities in Wyoming, which is funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny how this whole thing shakes out. But let me just say, how are you feeling in terms of your investments?
Investments? Oh man, my investments are solid right now. I they're down. Let me just say that they're down, but I still feel like solid choices. Solid choices there. I followed my gut a little bit, and I sold some near 120 as far as Dash goes. Some near 120, and putting some back in now today. So
Today would be a good day. Today is a good day to die, as the saying goes.
I think I made a good move. Either way, the way I look at it is I've accumulated more Dash at this point, and so I'm confident that it's going back up. So,
yeah, so in case the world has been living under a rock, and we're not just talking about what everyone kind of already knows about, in case people need filling in, crypto markets crashed. Every market crashed. Gold crashed. And it's all, I would say, something to do with what has been now known as a coronavirus, or as we call it, the Modelo virus. But, you know, all these little salt and lime. And, yeah. So, basically, there's been this, what is now being called a global pandemic, that everyone, even if you're living under a rock, you should have someone trying to turn your rock over saying, can I hide under here? Because this virus is cray-cray. There's been, the world's been kind of upside down. Everyone's been dumping out of everything. And, yeah, it's been a little rough for a lot of people.
I feel like just like any other panic situation that, you know, we've seen the world economy get into in the past, this is a good buy opportunity for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you have to be brave, because it turns out like people will always go, oh, it's tanked, I'm not putting any money in because it's going to get worse, or whatever they think. And then when it eventually recovers, whether that be tomorrow or whether it be next year or 10 years from now, whatever the case may be, then they look back and go, oh, you got lucky because you put money in when it was down there. And it's like, don't act like you didn't have the same opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is, it's crypto has been viewed as all kinds of things, right? It's been viewed as a safe haven. It's been used as like a world-changing stuff. It's been viewed as all kinds of things. Mostly, though, people buy it and expect it to go up in value. And It has, kind of. But then it went and crashed. So there's a couple of things to unpack here. First off, it seems like the practical projects like Dash are moving forward just fine. It seems like there's no issue. I mean, obviously, the challenge with Dash, though, is there is no big fiat currency endowment that just kind of like hangs out and everyone's sort of, they can just live off that forever. Dash lives and dies by the duff. And so because of that, people who are putting in proposals around now, oh my goodness, it's not a pretty sight. So you're going to have to be eating bologna sandwiches for a while. So, but other than that, it's chugging along. Now,
Yeah.
BTC.
Even before, go ahead.
Yeah, well, go ahead with your thought first, because this is a long one.
Nope, no big deal. I think I know where you're going, and it's exactly where I was about to go. So go for it.
Yeah, BTC is in an interesting position because ever since the scaling wars and that whole stuff didn't work out, BTC has been pegged as a store of value, as a savings technology, and is the opinion of myself and some others that it has been done so in order to excuse not scaling. And
Bingo.
that's, again, it's still kind of a controversial. You can't always tell, but also, I personally believe if the Lightning Network had worked correctly in time, the narrative would change back to peer-to-peer electronic cash as long as you use this off-chain kind of thing. But the whole thing, it's one of those things where a narrative, a theory, can survive for any amount of time as long as it is not disproven, right?
Right.
And sometimes, like, you can prove it. So, for example, as long as crypto keeps going up in value, anything about it can be theoretically true, pretty much. Any good thing. Oh, it's the future. It's going to change this. It's going to this and that. And it's like 10, 20, 30 years in. They're like, look, no one's still using this stuff. But then you can say, no, but the price is going up. Clearly, it's just not yet. But everyone's going putting stuff into it. Clearly, it's going to be. And particularly if your whole thesis relies around it being a store of value, i.e., number go up, stacking sats and all that, then it literally is this self-fulfilling prophecy. And so when, I think I got rid of my last BTC when it was $600 to $800, somewhere in that range, before then. That was late 2016. And so that's when it started to become not very effective as a peer-to-peer electronic cash. And it got worse as time went on, right? Now, when that happened, the price kept going up. It got to 1,000 and then got to several and then peaked at 20,000. And since then, at its new low now, it was 4,000, I think, right? Something like that.
Right.
And so
3,700.
Yeah, gosh. And that's when it started to get crazy, is because after it comes down off that 10K, it's it still works because as long as you didn't that, and it's it went down to 35 or whatever it was before. Then it went back.
I haven't held Bitcoin for so long, just not even for any moral or ideological reason other than I have no use for it. If I'm trying to send money and it costs too much, I'm using something else. If I'm trying to send money and it takes too long, I'm using something else. To me, it's not I'm not oh, Bitcoin, you failed because you refused to scale and this and that. Although that is true in my mind, that's not why I don't use it. I don't use it because it doesn't work for me. For my purposes, the things that I want to do with it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, which is pretty funny because I kind of have adopted the same thing. I'm a lousy crypto investor. let's just get that out of the way.
I don't invest based on price movement or anything like that, or even, I don't even invest. You can't even call it that. I just buy things that I like to use.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't call us investors in that case because I never invested in cryptocurrency. As far as I can remember, I've never even bought any, and that's of course the narrative I say over and over and over again in all my appearances, etc. I've never actually bought any, as far as I know. I just worked for it. I've just used it, and then I had some lying around that I switched over to Dash because I wanted to spend easily. And at that point, it was easier to spend Bitcoin in terms of where you could do it, but it was expensive and inconvenient. So I say, well, I'll just do Dash. And then I got paid in Dash exclusively for an extremely long period of time. And so that's just all the money that I got. And every other crypto asset I have, one time I had a whole bunch of, whole bunch. No, I've never had a whole bunch of anything. Let's be very clear about that. And not just for the cameras. It's true as well. But at one point I did have a whole bunch, I thought I was over leveraged into Dash. And I was like, oh, diversification is what happens, right? And so I split up. I see a keyboard up. Send $5. Are you sending?
You should get it right now.
Oh, are you sending it to the donation link?
Yep, to the donation link.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's watching. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just thought about it, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to send a tip.
Yeah, so what's his name? Splowik in the live chat says, tip sent. Thank you very much. People like you support the cause of freedom and awesomeness around the world. In case you didn't see, up at the top corner, I have a Cointree address, which has all my donation stuff, which is Dash at the top, of course, and a few other ones, as well as all the different links. And Cointree is a great project that my friend Naomi Brockwell and her guy are working on, and it works pretty well. And so I'm glad to use them. It's very useful and it works. So anyway, thanks for the tip. It's up there for the rest of you, but I don't want that to derail our great store of value takedown type thing. The only other stuff, again, if someone wants to send me some Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin SV or whatever the hell else, then they can. Now I have some. I wouldn't have bought them. The one thing I did do a while ago is I took some Dash and, in the few $100 range, and shape shifted some into Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, just because I could hold those in the hardware wallet. And I was like, diversify. And then after 6 months or something, they just got wrecked next to Dash, and I was just like, you know what? This is a stupid idea because I don't actually believe in these projects really.
Yeah. Or pay attention to them enough to follow.
I was trying to be an investor. That was my one investor moment. I was trying to be an investor but without even thinking about it. I'm like, no, you know what?
Yeah.
This is not going to work.
I have a handful of cryptocurrencies, but again, not for investment purpose necessarily. I typically only have ones that I use for things. I'm a software developer, so I play around with different technologies all the time to see what I think they're doing right, or what we could do better, or what we're doing right and where they struggle. And when I say they, I just mean other projects.
Yeah, of course.
So I've played with all kinds. And this sounds strange coming out of the mouth of somebody who's an elected Dash investment fund supervisor that I'm not an investor. And I'd say that's still accurate. I personally don't invest. I pay very close attention to lots and lots of projects, and so I think I have a good handle on where projects are at. And so what I bring to the table as far as that goes is more technology perspective. Yeah. So I can weigh in on that and let the people who make market type investments, the other people on the diff tend to weigh in on that a lot heavier than I do. I had to sidetrack that for a minute just because I knew that sounded weird coming out of my mouth.
Great disclaimer. And that's the thing that people don't. I have had investors talk to me before, and just not to invest in me because that's what the donation is for. That's not what I mean. But as in, because I'm not an investor, I don't know much about investing. I mean, other than the basic stuff of don't invest more than you're willing to lose. Diversify, don't buy low, sell high, whatever, all the other stuff like that. I don't know that much about it, but I do know about technology, and I do know about these different projects. I know about the economics of stuff, and so they can make informed investment decisions buttressed by that information. And so that's
that little tidbit of information that buy low, sell high. That is everybody knows that on a fundamental level, but nobody can do it. When the price goes, they panic sell. When it shoots up, they panic buy. And it happens all the time. And look at toilet paper right now, which is part of the title of this episode, right?
Yeah.
Store value and PP. Buy low, sell high, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's a discipline kind of a thing to a certain extent, but I think that if you just have a somber perspective and you're just if you put the work in, the actual intellectual work into this, but detach yourself emotionally like a monk. You just like, well, this is I know I am going to allocate this much money to investing, and I am doing it under the hope that I will get more out of it. But I am considering it as a risk, and I could lose most of it. So I've already let it go.
That's what I do when I go to Vegas.
Yeah, it's like, except Vegas, you the reason you let it go is because that's you just know it's not coming back.
Right,
it's not,
it's not coming back. But I do that too, though. When I go and I'll sit down at a blackjack table and I'll start. Then I'm like, start my vacation in Vegas. Like, okay, I'll bring $1,000, and this is like money that I'm willing to lose. I'm putting it in to play the game. I'm gonna walk away without it. If I ever get above that, maybe I give up. Oh, okay, I'm done. I got $1,200. I'm leaving it there.
Yeah, and it does make sense if you like, I gotta gamble $100 away and have fun in the process of it and get some like sweet buffet deals. Again, this is pre-corona, whatever. But yeah, as long as you put that in there, and that's one of those things where people just get into it. They get hooked, just like gambling. Gambling is like it doesn't need to be that bad of a thing, but people just go all crazy with it. They just, they get hooked in, and that's why the industry makes money. Now,
right.
I don't know if the crypto investment or other investment or trading industries necessarily need people to be degenerate gamblers in order for this industry to work. A lot of crypto, yes, I have to admit, there's a lot of tokens that just are only like degenerate gambler coin and, proof of degeneracy for the consensus algorithm and all that. So, but for the most part, and that's unfortunately what happened to BTC. It ended up being a lot of people jumped into Bitcoin because they say number's going to go up. It's going to turn out okay. Everything's going to go well. And, all these arrogant terms is going to replace the fiat and screw the banks, even though I use my banks to buy the Bitcoin and I don't have anything else to do. And then what happened now? Especially people are saying the safe haven argument. People are saying this is going to be the safe haven when the fiat systems start to collapse. And guess what? With this pandemic we're all living under, I haven't actually felt any personal effects of it in my own life yet, but a lot of people definitely have. Mm-hmm. Everything crashed, including gold, which is kind of interesting to show that it is a hedge, but only as
nothing's truly guaranteed.
Yeah. Now the only things are toilet paper, right?
Toilet paper, hand sanitizer.
Yeah, the kinds of so toilet paper is just the thing that people are afraid of running out of more than food.
I don't understand that.
I don't get it either. I mean,
like worst case scenario, I'm gonna hop in the shower and wash my ass if I don't have toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, but that's because you're a solutions oriented person, and not everyone.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know. People just get that part is just the hilarious part of it. But people are stuck up, sanitizing products because of the disease. But always
Everclear's $6 a bottle. They should probably just stock up on that.
Oh yeah, you know it. I'm still trying to get my parents to send me some of that Bacanora, that Sonoran Mexican moonshine.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
did they sell Everclear in New Hampshire?
I think they must. I mean,
yeah, they do here. It's like $6 for a fifth. It's crazy.
Yeah. So for like is a fifth like a handle, or is that a little different?
Yeah, it's like a bottle, a normal size bottle.
Yeah. So one point, like I could get really cheap vodka around here for $6 to $8, like $8 for a 1.75 liter bottle. Like a big jug.
Yeah.
So, but that's a little.
Sorry, I have like ADD.
That's a little aside the point, but
yeah,
I think it's funny because ammo, of course, ammunition, firearms, stuff like that keep us safe. And supplies and emergency, like that stuff is like the rubber hits the road kind of a thing. Gold doesn't seem to be quite. Gold seems to be when everything else is kind of sucking, but when people are afraid for their lives, no one cares about gold. But oddly enough, what people do care about? Cash.
Yeah,
cash is a better store of value than gold. Not really. That's kind of the point. But yeah. There's something
and see,
to
there's
that.
A difference too, and I think here's the difference too. One of the possible, like the only thing I can think of to explain it. Okay, so gold may be a better store of value long term, in the sense that the dollar inflates all the time. So if I put $1,000 in gold, then as the dollar inflates, everything else being equal, the dollar inflates and my $1,000 continues to get worth more and more, theoretically, right? Now, that makes sense from that standpoint. But what the only other like possible explanation for why people want cash so bad right now is they need it. Like, for example, I've been called off. I have 4 jobs. I've been called off of 3 of them for the next 3 weeks.
See, that is decentralization right there, because you have 4 jobs just in case you get called off of 3.
Yeah. So that's my point, though. I've been called off of 3 out of 4 jobs. People that have 1 job are screwed. I mean, bills are still due. You still have to pay the water bill. You still have to pay the internet bill, Netflix, the heating bill. I mean, granted, in this situation, they probably aren't going to just start shutting people off. I mean, there's extenuating circumstances. But my point is that at this point, people are going, I can't really handle an unexpected $400 or $500 bill payment of any kind, but I do have some gold. And they're not thinking about inflation and things like that right now. They just need immediate access to cash.
Yeah.
And so in that point, they're not trying to store value anymore during a panic, which is maybe what explains like the reason that it's not a store of value, quote unquote, because they're not trying to store value right now. They're trying to spend it.
Yes, and that's exactly goes back to the whole utility thing. Is Dash a medium of exchange right now largely? Not really. I mean, people like me use it for that. People in Venezuela use it. There's people that use it all over the world, but it's not accepted everywhere enough to where anywhere, to be honest, to where people are going to be like, I need some of this because I get to spend it. Now, of course, to pay people internationally and stuff, it works.
Sure.
But, and my personal argument is, if Bitcoin had maintained that whole, if Bitcoin had maintained the ability to transact, then it would be in much better situations right now. It'd probably be outperforming gold, to be honest, because
I would agree with you. Yeah,
as
because
Ludovic L says in the live chat, gold used to be money. Remember, absolutely used to be money. But
yes, definitely.
Now, what is priced in gold? Nothing. How do you actually spend?
Hard to go to Walmart and buy toilet paper with gold.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably, because this little bit, a gram. I mean, I don't know how much. How much is a gram worth?
$400 maybe.
Wow, it's a lot of. Nah, it's got to be like $40.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably like $40. 40. So I could buy a lot of tea. I could just go and spend this on groceries, right? But it's like it's not coined properly. Like there aren't coins and little bits to spend it on. No one has like gold certificates.
You probably have better luck using it to buy groceries if you went outside the store and said, hey, if you buy me $40 worth of groceries, I'll give you this gram of gold. Someone might say, okay. You're not going to give it to the store clerk, most likely, unless,
or you went to a local store and just went to your local butcher and just said, look, I know times are crazy. You want this in case you can't get cash out of your bank? All right, great. You probably take it. But the problem is the whole the trade clearing part of gold has kind of atrophied. Not because the gold isn't gold anymore, it still is. It's just that the part that you actually can exchange, the actual unit of account, the actual technology part on top of the natural resource, it just isn't around anymore. And so what you got now is like the digital gold is kind of the same thing, except it's more speculative than gold at this point. Less trustworthy, less whatever. It's much more speculative, especially since it's a technology which can atrophy, because if the technology doesn't work, something happens to the mining pool is doing this and that, then it could have disruptions. Whereas you could disrupt the supply of gold mining, but you can't disrupt the gold itself. Like if I took out all the gold miners in the world, this little piece of gold that I have would still do exactly the same thing. In fact, it would probably become more valuable because it's more scarce now. However, if you disrupted all the Bitcoin miners in the world, it's useless. You can't move it.
Right.
So that's the ultimate thing to learn from this whole economic catastrophe has been, it's not, you need utility for it to be rubber hits the road kind of actual use. You need to actually be able to use it for what you really care about. So
Right.
you need your store of value to be able to increase your store of TP at any stage. And then that'll be an actual store of value.
Sure.
That's almost like
I would agree with
we're
that.
really like halfway in. That's like an ending quote kind of a thing, right?
I don't know. Yeah. Truthfully though, yeah, I mean, it's like you can kind of look at the state of things and like we haven't seen this type of global pandemic, at least in my lifetime that I remember. I haven't seen the NBA stop a season. I haven't seen, you know, my 3 of my 4 jobs call me off of work for 3 weeks. Like I haven't seen that in my entire life. And so how it's interesting to analyze how markets and people are reacting in this case. I am shit surprised that toilet paper was the thing that ran out.
Yeah. I think it's
like a run on the banks, but it's just like a run on the toilet paper aisle.
Although, speaking of which, there have been reports of a bunch of ATMs being out of cash. Now, I don't think it's a run on the bank situation yet because the bank technology is still up. And when you swipe your card, it'll hopefully still work. Like, there's no like financial collapse that way yet.
Right.
So I don't think you need to worry. Although, by the way, if you can stockpile some cash, absolutely do that. If you can stockpile digital cash, aka Dash, yeah, that's great, but the value might fluctuate a little bit in the short term. You know, it's not gonna be as useful. And if someone says, "Hey, can I send you this digital thing?" They're gonna be like, "No, I want the paper." But we're moving towards a world where that is going to be a thing. Now, the problem is we're talking about a virus situation. So people are stockpiling cash, which comes in contact with so many people. And using cash, oddly enough, might, ironically cause this whole thing to be worse.
Yeah. I've actually heard that they believe that's one of the major contributing factors in the spread of the virus is cash, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, now, before the governments jump on this whole ban cash nonsense, no. just no, because wait until we are all using digital cash instead, because just like when the exchanges are down and you can't get to our crypto because it's all down and stuff. Can you imagine if the banks aren't working and then now you're like at least the cash works even though it spreads disease,
Right. But if for some reason we had another global pandemic and instead of being a virus or something, it was maybe a computer virus and the bank account or the bank networks all went down for 24 hours and nobody could pay bills or buy anything. Like that's a total possibility.
Yeah, that could be totally rough, which is why you should always stockpile. Stockpile sounds like such a Alex Jonesy term, but that's why you should always have some stores of food and other supplies and things like that. And
luckily for me, I'm that type of person anyway. So when this hit our area, before I was even called off of work or anything, I had already paid my mortgage for next month. My internet, water, and heat, I prepaid everything. And I tend to do that pretty regularly. Try and stay 1 month ahead just in case, I want to take a vacation or something like this happens, I suppose. And I don't have much in terms of savings, so to speak of, because most of it's in digital cash in one form or another. And so I don't have much in the form of savings, but I do try to stay a month ahead on all my bills. And like I said, I have 4 jobs. So,
yeah.
And one of them is a work from home type job, which is why they didn't call me and say don't come in, because I don't come in anyway. Yeah,
exactly. And that's also going to be a pretty funny thing with the whole work from home deal. On a slightly less crypto related note, school from home is probably going to awaken a lot of people to the unnecessary elements of the public education systems, but that's not a topic for this podcast. What is a topic, though, is the whole work from home thing. Have you ever do you remember, what was it called, the 4-Hour Work Week or whatever? I'm sure you've read that book.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And obviously it's a great conceptual book. It's way harder. It makes it sound like, oh, anyone can. It's like, there's a lot of hustling involved. But the one thing I thought was great because it was practical was step one, like how to work from anywhere, how to work from home. What if your boss, like the whole aggressive negotiations bit of like, how do you aggressively negotiate to go work from home? And part of it is just like literally take sick days and then still get the work done, and then just say like, hey, I want to do this. And like, so now we're getting into that aggressive negotiation thing where we have a virus which is aggressively negotiating on our behalf for our right to work from home.
We are forced to take sick days, but unfortunately, work still needs to be done.
Yeah. So because of
the school that I work at is extending spring break by 2 weeks. They're saying nobody come back, and now they're saying that we will probably continue school online after spring break, except for our career technical education classes, which happens to be one of the ones that I teach, because our students are on machines and they can't do that from home. So they have to extend the semester a couple weeks.
Yeah. So we're starting to figure this out, that now like the work from home thing, now it's like, hey, guess what? Everything still worked. And people are like, oh man, I didn't have to go commute. I didn't have all this stress. I didn't have all this other stuff. I didn't, talk nonsense by the water cooler with other people. Like, I just got to.
Although there's something to be said for that too, because I've been working at home for a long time, and sometimes I enjoy that type of stuff, like in some of my other jobs.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure in the future, like this is the way the future, to a certain extent, is the death of old offices and the rise of co-working spaces, which has already started to kind of happen. But it's like where you have a space where you can come in, but it's like you don't have to be in as long as the stuff gets done. And it's like, imagine the co-working space and like you're the one guy in there because everyone else is at home because so what? Oh yeah, I was a lonely guy, just wanted to get out of the house. All right. But then like just as people start to feel comfortable going back in, or they just start to like, get tired of looking at their dog all day long, they're just like, I gotta get out of the house, and their hair is growing in weird ways, and they just need to like be presentable and out in civilization.
Oh my gosh, should I do it? Should I take the beanie off? You guys should see what work from home hair looks like.
This is my work from home hair.
This is can I get closer?
Yeah.
How do I make it bigger? This is work from home hair right here.
Yeah. Well, it's not as vertical as I expected, but
this is I can make it look.
Yeah, there you go. It's work from home hair right there.
Interesting. This is usually non-existent. Like I normally have like a really tight fade and some hair on top, but it's starting to like fully. I have like a whole head of hair right now, which is why you always see me with
the beanie hat now. Yeah. So
when summer comes around, I got to get it cut though.
As we start running into this situation where people are actually working from home, and now it's just like, okay, well, we basically work from anywhere. We have offices where people can meet up, maybe, but it's, first off, the costs go way down. More people start working from home. They're more happy and fulfilled, all that kind of good stuff. But now you start being able to hire people from other places in the world, because it's not like, well, I want someone to show up. And then they're like, oh, I don't have your money. Oh, all these, and then all the payroll stuff gets all annoying. And you're like, hey, guess what? We can use crypto. So here's the funny thing. We're talking about all this calamity and disaster and all the other good stuff. Now, let's put on our Andrew Pompliano hat for a second and just start.
Andrew? Is that his name?
Or whatever. I think so. Whatever. Pomp. Let's put on the Pomp hat. Anthony. That was it. It's one of those A names.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's put on our Pomp hats and start thinking about how can we spin this, that this is good for crypto? How is the corona pandemic good for Dash? Which, I mean, in the short term, it's definitely not been. And for the human race, it has not been. But
I don't know that it's not been good for crypto, in the sense that, like, okay, the price has gone down. But the price of the stock market, these are the fastest drops that we've ever seen in history, twice in a row. And so given those circumstances, nobody can really make the argument that, oh, look, crypto's not safe. Or, I mean, you can't really make that argument because you can go, well, any other traditionally considered like safe asset is also underperforming and in fact tanking right now. So, I mean, it's just par for the course.
Yeah,
so it's
nobody's safe.
Not like particularly bad at this point. We'll see what the rebound looks like on both when one returns, whichever one returns to previous position first is really the better performer.
Yeah, and so also it's like welcome to my world, rest of the world, right?
Yeah, it's like everyone's going, oh, the stock market's never moved 20% in a single day, and it's like, yeah, well, we call that Tuesday.
Yes, of course. But so that's one thing, is to equalize the whole thing. Everyone suffers. Now it's like, oh, well, that crypto stuff actually goes up pretty good. So that's one. The second thing is the Fed is printing money. A lot of people are printing a lot of money. And of course, as we know, with supply and demand, if there's equal demand for extremely increased supply, each individual unit won't be as valuable. So people's savings are going to be going down. That means that, but since everything is priced in those units, that means that the number of those units it takes to buy
the number go up.
Yeah, it means that the number go up. The number go up for crypto, even if you can still buy the same amount with 1 unit of Dash as you could before, as you could without this. Your same amount of USD, for example, won't be able to buy as much. So that means people are going to be like, oh wow, this like the whole like number go up thing is going to be exacerbated, which is of course good for all cryptos. But where this hits the whole Dash thing is people wanted cash, and they wanted to be able to spend they wanted cash. And so because you can buy stuff with cash and your bank can't get shut down, or your bank can get shut down, And so what this affected, Bitcoin and all the other major cryptocurrencies. But hopefully this wakes people up to the fact of, okay, if I'm a hodl bro, but hodl bros need to actually buy stuff like TP, right? They're to increase their stores of toilet roll. The process of doing that is you got to sell. First off, if not your keys, not your crypto, okay? So, and a lot of people still go by that ethos. So not everyone just keeps their coins on exchanges, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. But so if you want to turn your Bitcoin into toilet paper, which is a funny way of thinking about it, you got to move it to an exchange, which, by the way, the networks are all congested right now. I wonder why. And
I think Ethereum fees were like $12 or something yesterday for
crazy.
A transaction.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't scale. When there's runs on the digital banks. So first off, if you're going to try to send your Bitcoin, it's going to be all day or more to try to get it there. Gets on the exchange might have outages. Oh, we're being DDoSed is a big thing, which, who knows how much you want to believe that. But
well, they may be. It's just that big influx of users, and I get it because I'm in that world of software. You don't want to pay for infrastructure to support 5 million users when you regularly on a normal business day only see 2, right? Mm-hmm. So you pay for infrastructure to support about 3 million or so in case you get a larger influx one day over another. But then some shit like this happens and they get, boom, 5 million, and they're scrambling to try and get extra capacity. And I can buy that argument.
But that's the thing.
It's not responsible.
It's not a DDoS attack. That's just
no.
I mean,
it's just underprepared.
It's technically, I guess, a DDoS attack because you're just getting too much activity that's overloading the stuff.
It's not a malicious DDoS attack.
It's customers. you know? Which is crazy when people.
It's going to be a good problem to have.
Yeah, people used to talk that about whenever the Bitcoin network would be, under heavy load. It's being DDoSed. You mean it's being used?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you mean it's being used? The blocks are full. Gosh, just wait to process your coffee payments. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, well, who gets to say which payments are more important?
Yes. So that's what we got to start out with, right? So first off, you got to move your stuff to the exchange. Network takes a long time. Second, exchange takes a long time. Third, it's got to get to your bank, which may or may not be, under over capacity or about to go under. Who knows? And
Yeah,
then you
who
got to
knows?
buy your TP with it. So
Yep.
there's that whoop. And now with this little handy visualization of holding up fingers, what if this is your crypto, this is your exchange, this is your bank, this is your toilet paper. All right? You got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How about we just go dash, like if you can actually spend your dash on TP, right there, right?
Rock on.
You get dash right to toilet paper. Then also probably the price wouldn't plunge if you could actually do that reliably. So
Right.
if you can actually do this and you get priced into the markets as a different asset class than just the speculative crypto stuff, if you get a crypto that is still crypto but is reliable, secure, and is used for payments and useful for payments, there you go. You get to go from this to
You get a little bit
this.
more stability there.
Yes, you get to actually have price stability because it's actually useful for things like that.
Right. You're not putting sell pressure on the market if you're not exchanging your asset for something else.
Yeah.
And really, that's what they want is TP. They don't care about the cash necessarily. They just want to make sure they have cash available in order to buy TP. That's the end goal, right? And so hopefully a lot of
because you're
people
just getting
see
too much
the
activity that's
usefulness
overloading
of
this
this.
stuff.
Although I'm willing to bet
it's
like
just-
there'll be lots of bad press about the price going down of crypto. Oh, supposedly safe haven asset tanks with the rest of everything else. And it's like the craziest part is I've never claimed it's a safe haven asset, nor has any real crypto OG because they're in it to spend it probably. I wouldn't say that necessarily. Everyone has different reasons, but I guess in my opinion, I'm here to help make better cash for the world. And so in that case, I don't care what its price is doing necessarily. I don't like to see it go down, of course.
Oh yeah.
But what its price is doing only matters to me so I can get more of the asset.
Yeah,
Dash.
so that is the funny part about it is
It's not so that I can have more dash to have more dollars. That seems backwards.
yeah, and that's ultimately the funny thing about this whole thing is what is crypto good for? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing in most cases. So what is it good for? And that's what people are speculating on. What is it good for? What does it do? And the whole speculation around Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, to be honest, including Dash, to be honest, has largely been this is the future, everyone's going to use it for some unexplained reason, or this is a store of value. This is a hedge against, confiscation,
Global
devaluation, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and it's proven to be kind of not that. And so what it is, it's a store of ability. It's a hedge against inability to transfer value. Because
censorship. Hedge against censorship.
Yes. And now this is one of the reasons why I think that Bitcoin is still done pretty well, is it functions for that purpose. Now, how efficiently does it transfer value? How efficiently does it transfer small bits of value? All that stuff. But if you got like $100,000 and you got to move it because you got to pull it off the exchange, move it to where you have. You got
to move it tomorrow, and it's a Friday. Saturday.
Well, but
it doesn't matter.
If you're just like trying to move it, and then you withdraw it to your wallet or whatever, no one can kind of confiscate that if you've done your security pretty well. It does move. It's not that expensive to just like take all your assets off, and it's that part is pretty powerful still. Now, at some point, people are going to need to move smaller amounts and way quicker and more securely and stuff like that. But that's the ultimate thing that's going to work is when, what happens when, the markets are volatile and stuff. Oh, stuff goes down. Global pandemic, stuff goes down. Gold, because you can't really use it. Gold goes down even. What goes up or what stays, cash. I mean, TP, because you always need, what is it? It's a paper fixation, right? Was it paper money or paper? And they can both kind of be used for each other, I guess. It depends on how ambitious you are. But
yeah, well, and we haven't seen the full effects of this either. I mean, if you think about like so far, housing prices have remained really stable around here. But I hope this doesn't happen, but if you can imagine, people die, those houses go for sale on the market. That puts selling pressure, lower prices, lowers the price. I mean, so it could have far-reaching effects afterwards, definitely, and we haven't seen the full extent of it yet, as far as that goes. So only when this all shakes out, hopefully in the next month or two, but I mean, could be as long as 18 months, who knows? But hopefully when it all shakes out, we have a lot clearer answers, especially I think this is a good opportunity for us to see, in an unprecedented situation, never before seen, how does Dash or any crypto asset perform? Not just in terms of price, but in terms of strength, ability. Like we've seen Ethereum and Bitcoin slow down.
Yeah. So Bitcoin's been at capacity as far as transactions for a long time.
Right.
Let me just look at a couple other ones real quick here. So for some reason, Bitcoin Cash transactions over the last few days have crashed, gone below like even Dash and stuff like that.
You think people are transferring into Bitcoin to move somewhere?
I don't know. I mean,
that wouldn't even make sense to me. But
it's been 6 days. Maybe it has something to do with all the nonsense going on with Bitcoin Cash potential fork stuff, which
sure.
Who knows? Who knows that has anything to do with that? But what's funny is Dash has been pretty consistent for the last month as far as transactions. These last couple days, you have a big spike, like double it, like a significant spike in Litecoin and Monero transactions. And what that shows me, again, this is decentralization. Welcome to decentralization, right? You have no idea what these are actually being used for because you don't know everyone who's using them, and they're not going to tell you.
Right.
And so, but what I can probably infer is BTC and Ethereum, boom, running up against those walls.
Yep.
And
most likely their exit ramps right now.
Yeah, and Litecoin and Monero going up too. And Dash is kind of still being used about the same, Now, I guess that would say that those are kind of those speculative things that people are now trying to dump. People are speculating on all those, and they're just like, let's get rid of them and dump them. Whereas people are like, I'm still using my Dash every day. Which, again, giant assumptions, of course. But it's just funny when you just don't see, and because Bitcoin hasn't really spiked in transactions, but the fees have, which is it's where the overflow of transactions show up is in the fees. I'm guessing, I didn't look at Ethereum, but I'd guess it's the exact same way. Ethereum probably has or close to the same transactions as before, but the spillover shows up. Dash and Monero and all the others in Litecoin don't have spillover. But
I have some interesting questions in the live chat.
So
Felix is asking, why is Tether so widely used? And again, I think this goes back to people want cash or what they see, because when we kind of talked about how a lot of people in this market right now are speculators. So to them, they're not in crypto for something that they think is more valuable. They still want fiat at the end of the day. The only reason they want crypto is to get more fiat. And so in their minds, Tether is a stable value. Mm-hmm. So rather than watch the markets tank, they just trade into Tether or some other stable coin. I was amazed yesterday to look at the charts and see that DAI is still $1. Although I did read that it crashed by 58% or something like that. And they had to, whatever this means, but it said implement an emergency procedure. I don't know what that means, but it sounds
it sounds not good is all I know.
Yeah.
So my take on, obviously, first off, why are people use that stuff? So first off, people use whatever money they have, whatever their current store value is, i.e. a fiat currency. They use it to buy into cryptos, right? They use their fiat to buy into cryptos to speculate. Now, if you're a trader, you want to go in and out. And so the problem is fiat, first off, is slow and expensive to transfer around through accounts a lot of times. Definitely. But more importantly, it's that way because it's regulated. Stablecoins aren't really regulated. So like if I wanted to send you a bunch of money through Venmo, right? I guess like at first I'd have to
$10,000. Nope.
yeah, first off,
Paperwork.
I'd have to sign up with an account. You'd have to sign up with an account. It'd have to be the same account, right? It wouldn't be, oh, I'll do a different app on it. But like there has to be some kind of like compatibility. And then we both have to put our IDs in. Here's my picture with my ID, and put in our bank information, all this kind of stuff, and then we can kind of send back and forth. Now, I could send you Tether to any wallet pretty much. And like there's no AML KYC if I have some, as far as I know. And there's kind of a little bit of a loophole because it's not actually fiat. You can't actually buy things with it. You can trade it for real money, real fake money as I call it. Because Tether's fake money. But it's real fake money. And so you can't. And here's the other thing though about it. So first off, it's unregulated. So it's just basically a legal loophole to do the exact thing people want to do, which is trade the money they use, i.e. fiat currency. They don't know one uses crypto yet. And they want to do it without restrictions. They want to trade in and out, move across exchanges, not get all these red flags pop up. And the other thing is, I personally believe a lot of people involved with large amounts of Tether have been using it to artificially inflate the Bitcoin price at certain intervals. And I have not thoroughly researched this, but
I've heard that theory, but I have no.
There's a lot of stuff out on it, but yeah, I'm not willing to just say this is exactly what's happening because I'm not educated enough on that issue. But it is still, a key thing. Now, let me look at what else we got.
I'm typing in the live chat here. I guess I could just talk.
Yes. So if Tether is outlawed, could Dash profit in traffic? Not specifically Tether, but if stable coins are either outlawed or regulated like fiat currencies, then I think that they would just go away. They would crash. And so then people would either be clamoring for trading restrictions to be lowered for direct fiat balances and stuff. There would also be other... people would find a way around those kinds of things too, right? They would find, for example, Binance Coin, or something like that is being used, like an exchange's token. They would have like Binance trading credits or something they'd find a way for it to be relatively stable without qualifying legally as a stable coin, and people would go do all that stuff. The shenanigans would still continue. But already people do use things like Dash and Litecoin and Dogecoin for like arbitrage across exchanges. I'm sure that, I think Dash is the best of those, except, the liquidity might not be where it could be. But
sure,
I think that would be great. So basically, yes, Dash could definitely profit a lot from traffic under certain circumstances.
Right. It's kind of one of those things, like, I feel like, I might be chastised for saying this, but I think stablecoins have their place.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think they're good at one thing, which is holding value against the dollar. Mm-hmm. And that comes with pros and cons. I think that there are other coins that are good. Like, I think there are coins that may have better privacy than Dash. I think there are coins that may be faster than Dash. Let me explain in a minute. I think there are coins that may have better security, maybe. But
there's possibilities to these things.
But if there is such a coin that has a better security than Dash, then it trades off in every other category. It's not as fast, it's not as whatever. It's not as cheap, whatever the case may be. Dash, to me, is the best combination of all of the attributes that I look for in a digital currency. And to me, that makes it by far the best investment. Whether that's true in relation to dollars or not, market cap or not, I have no idea. But as far as medium of exchange or utility type investment, for me, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people are, so far, they're focusing very on a narrow set of use cases. And so they're like, this is the trading coin, this is the buying stuff coin, this is the
this
store
is
of
the
value
privacy
coin.
coin.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
right now people aren't putting these things through their paces enough to where they actually have to be like, get yourself a man who can do both kind of thing. Where they're
exactly.
They're like, I want to be able to trade all over the place with a thing that I can also just withdraw and use it to buy TP directly. Again, back to the go right to there.
This is our new thing. I'm just gonna do this, and this to me, this is the hand signal that just means like dash mass adoption.
Yeah, from here to here.
From here to here.
And there's a lot of savings in that, So you got to, and then you want to be private in doing so. Eventually, all those attributes will be undesirable in isolation. Like, why do you care if it's private, if it's not secure, or the supply isn't stable, or the price isn't stable? Or why do you care?
Why do you care if it's fast?
Yeah,
if
everyone can see it.
Centralized.
Yeah, and everyone can see it. Why do you care if it's secure if you can't move it around? Like, eventually you're going to be like, I'm just going to start using this thing. And so, and that's an interesting thing because there's been a lot of projects that have taken giant hits in terms of token value, but are still they're still growing users. Like, so the one example that I'm more familiar with lately has been LBRY. And of course, LBRY is and by the way, if you're not watching this live, I will be sharing on this video uploaded onto LBRY because it's actually, it's the only thing that's not YouTube that's actually decentralized that works. But it runs on these LBRY tokens. And so because of that, those things are priced in as cryptos. Oh, speculative value. How does it go? Up or down? Where's it, how's it going? And yet, the usage is, from what I've been able to tell, has gone significantly up in the last few months, and that hasn't been completely reflected in the pricing. Now, here, one thing that's funny is to actually look at the price chart of that versus other cryptos. It's LBRY credits are significantly up over the last few days. Not significantly, but are up versus Bitcoin. They didn't do this giant dip, a little bit, but not as much. And I think that has something to do with the fact that their demand is more stable at the moment, right? Because you got people want to buy these credits so they can go tip stuff and put videos online, do all that kind of stuff. That hasn't slowed down. So even though the speculative price has changed a little bit, there's still a lot of utility in there. And so that's what I think that Dash can look forward to, is if people are primarily using Dash to do all this kind of stuff, and then the price won't really go up and down that much, So anyway,
I'm a big fan of LBRY, actually.
Yeah, but this is not the LBRY podcast, so I've got to keep it in check. Let me just hit up the live chat for some last minute little things.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
I think we're actually pretty good, and we're starting to get over the hour mark, so we don't want to make our good friend Grandmaster Dash turn into a pumpkin again. Got to keep these things relatively short. So, for those who missed the memo, these podcasts will continue unabated. However, there are every other week until such point at which if the audience keeps growing, there's a ton of extra people that want to, that just want to jump on board and watch all the time. If the donations start going through the roof, etc., then of course I'd be more than happy to try to do something every week. Right now, every other week, just as if 4 people watch it and those 4 people love it, I'll keep doing it every other week. So we're going to keep this going. So 2 weeks from now, at the moment, 4 p.m. Eastern time, make sure you subscribe on whatever channel you're watching this on, because it's going to be on quite a few different ones. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share it around everywhere. And in addition to all the Dash News channels, which, I'll keep using as long as they're there, just for you guys, I'm putting them on all my channels, Digital Cash Network, which, I haven't done much on YouTube at all, to be honest, but I'll put them on, LBRY and some other things. So make sure you follow along all those. Now is the time for the glorious moment that we call the after party. And it's funny because someone on a friend of mine was tweeting about basically we should do something like that where we should just all have a party where we all get to hang out together and just like drink booze and all talk over each other. And I'm like, well, kind of already, we've all been doing that. We were doing it before Corona made it cool. So the after party, cool since before Corona came around. So basically, you got to go to the famous spot, which is called the Dash Talk Discord, or the number one source of your daily Dash gossip and other information. And so you go to staydashy.com. Let me type that in.
In the future, maybe we'll just like slide it out over the video.
That would be cool. Staydashy.com takes you there. You get a link. You get in. Start asking around about the after party. And then, where was the after party? What's going on? I want to go hang out with you guys. It's just like this. Like the two of us hanging out, except there's going to be more people. A bunch of regulars are already in there. And just kind of hang out. Do whatever you're doing. And it'll be a good time. So, if you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe one more time. There's a little donation link in there if you want to go to the CoinTree, and that also has all the other links and stuff. So just CoinTree everything. And if you're a content creator of any kind, go use CoinTree. It's free and it works great. And so, as always, it's time to stay positive,
stay humble,
but most importantly,
stay dashy.
Bye, everybody.